We say good morning to our radio affiliates around the country. iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio. We'll hear from Chris Webber coming up here in a moment. Zach in Knoxville joins us now. Hi, Zach. What's on your mind today?
ADP, thanks for taking my call. I wanted to get back on track with what callers should be doing and not singing and suggesting nicknames and possible T-shirt ideas.
Okay.
Dylan has a very Stephen Wright delivery, so maybe we could call him the guy in the back instead of the guy on the couch and have a little T-shirt idea with that. And, you walk by, you have a nice 3-team parlay, and you're like, hey, guy in the back, what do you think of this? Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you want Dylan's gambling advice. I'm just going to put that out there, Zach. He's entertaining when he gives you his gambling advice. He's just not very good.
Dylan would love to not have Dylan's gambling advice.
Wow. Okay.
Yesterday,
third person.
Yesterday was a rough day, Dan.
I'm sure today's going to be a rough day as well. And I've had friends who say, is Dylan trying to be bad at picking games? And I said, no. You do give it great thought.
I do. And then sometimes I get my wires crossed, and all of a sudden I'm like, that's a lot of red.
He's Chris Webber, Hall of Famer, 5-time All-Star, former number 1 overall pick by the Magic back in 1993. C. Webb joining us. Who came up with the idea for the Black Sox with Michigan? Do you remember?
I do. Ray Jackson. I had to interview him for my book, shameless plug, but I had forgotten. So we were playing in Texas. We were playing against Rice University. And, then when you play with your teammates, whenever you have a teammate that's from somewhere, when you go to their home, you want to show out. And so we knew we were going to want to play well for Ray and Jimmy. And Ray, though, he wanted to transfer. And Ray had been talking about transferring to me for the whole summer, for the whole year. He felt that he was kind of left out, that he was the scapegoat. The coach, he was kind of tired of coach staying on him for a long time. So he and his friends decided to go to the mall. He bought a few different colored pair of socks, and he was going to wear them in protest. But he comes to the room, and you know how it is with your friends. He comes to the room, I'm asleep. He comes back, and Juwan is like, what is this? I love it. We're going to wear those black socks. And Jalen's like, oh, let's go to the mall. So Jalen, Jimmy, they ran to the mall, bought me a pair of black socks. And so Ray's frustration and protest turned into brothers saying, man, shut up. We love you. We're all going to wear the black socks. And that's a whole nother story because we get in trouble for wearing the black socks for not including the rest of our teammates. So we had the black socks on. We're excited. We have our sweatpants on. We usually don't warm up with our sweatpants in warm-ups. Usually take them off in your shorts. We kept them on. And we all get in the starter circle. And coach is looking like, what the hell? Because it was pretty obvious then. And then after the game, coach was fine. We win it. But after the game, he pulled me to the side and said, come on, man. I'm the oldest of 5 kids. And he was like, would you do that with family members? He's like, no, we don't do that here. Everybody has to wear black socks. So he didn't understand how excited we were. That really what he was telling us is, yeah, y'all can wear them, but everyone can wear them. But Ray Jackson was the start of that. He picked those socks.
What about the baggy shorts? I know Jordan wore baggy shorts, but you guys went baggier.
Yeah, it was Illinois and UNLV had really nice shorts. Syracuse, all the guys like Derek Coleman or Anderson Hunt, they would bring us their shorts in the summer and give us a pair of shorts. That was like gifting a guy a car to wear some official, shorts. Back then, there was no Fanatics and, there was no Fanatic Fest. You could just give them things like that. And so really what it was, a funny story, the day we get to get our uniforms, we're all super excited. That's a moment when you get to look at your uniform, put it on. But thanks to Chip Armour and Eric Riley and all of the old heads, because they wanted just regular shorts. And we were searching for that extra 2 inches in the crotch, in the seam. And so we were able to trade with upperclassmen who didn't get it yet. And then Coach eventually, he and Coach Dutcher of San Diego State now, he and Coach Dutcher eventually ordered us some longer shorts. So we were just complaining the whole time about, our shorts. The term then, we didn't want Stocktons and we didn't want to catch a yeast infection at practice from a teammate with too tight drawers on. So, Coach, he was cool. We had some tough practices for it. That's how we got to earn black socks and everything. You have to have tough practices, but we earned it, and all was well.
We were talking about the great nicknames. So you had Fab Five, Phi Slamma Jamma was great, Hoya Paranoia. Don't know if there's Running Rebels. Don't know if there any other team nickname that kind of belongs in that group.
Man, that's good. I wish I had time to think about that one because that's going to be on my mind. I really loved the Running Rebels. I mean, to me, it said it all. Even their moniker with kind of the Yosemite Sam type character. You know, how many? I think them in Oklahoma got to carry a gun around then at those times. But yeah, I don't. You know, I've always said the greatest personal nickname to me is the great one. And then you can go from there. But for the teams, yeah, I think it'd have to be maybe the Running Rebels back there.
Were you aware of Georgetown with Ewing?
Are you serious? Yes, man, come on, man. I'm with you. I'm a big sports fan. So, yeah, and you got to remember this. What was really smart, and in talking to Sonny Vaccaro for my book, he was a really good guy. But they snuck into our minds early. So when you talk about Georgetown, yes. Do I love John Thompson? Yes. Do I love Zoe and all the big fellas they had, Ewing and Mutombo? Yes. But what really started my love for them was the blue and gray Nikes. It was the blue and gray starter jacket. And I don't think then really people remember what an influence starter had in our life, because you kind of got to be a pro before you were a pro and wear what you wanted to wear. And so, yeah, for me, it was a really good time of fashion and to wear what you want. But it all started with what you could wear on the street. And that's why I really love Georgetown, because of how cool they were even before I got to see them on the floor.
Yeah, what I was meaning is growing up, you know, because Ewing and Hoya Paranoia was in the 80s. And I was just curious if you were old enough to get gear, if you wanted to get gear from Georgetown or there was some other school. Because I think you looked at Duke, didn't you? If you didn't go to Michigan, it was either Michigan State or Duke.
Yes. And so Patrick Ewing is a little older than me. And I didn't get Georgetown gear, but you would always see all the cool guys in the neighborhood wearing it. I remember his interview with my father, you know, telling me where Patrick Ewing was from. And I remember my mother telling me how smart you had to be to go to Georgetown. So I really remember those conversations more so than watching Pat play. But Coach Carrill, rest in peace, who was a close mentor of mine. When I got in the pros, I heard so many great stories about that Princeton-Georgetown game, but those were much later. So, no, I didn't really get to see that because I was going to Duke. I was going to Michigan State to be like Steve Smith, going to Duke to play with Grant Hill, or, you know, luckily went to Michigan to play with Juwan, Jalen, Ray, and Jim.
Toughest guy you ever faced in college?
Christian Laettner is one of the best college players of all time. When I think of great college players, I think of Kareem, Walton. Of course, there are a lot of others that are mixed in that have one or two great years, but it was by far Christian Laettner for me Christian Laettner and Big Dog Robinson. Because those two, Glenn Robinson, those two were the first big guys that could put it on the floor, that could dribble, that could pump fake, that could get you in foul trouble, that played outside the game. You know, when you look at the evolution of the game, we grew up when big guys weren't supposed to handle it. And so Laettner being able to shoot threes, Laettner being able to just do all the stuff that he did from a freshman all the way to a senior, I would definitely say in my time, I think he was the toughest for me to play against.
Do you ever have a conversation with him about that rivalry and games you guys played against each other?
No, but it's overdue. It's long overdue. We should have a beer over it because I think I've told you this before. One of my best college visits, if I had 8 or 9 of them, was definitely at Duke, and Laettner was my host. So I was very familiar with him when we played. That's why we talked so much junk to each other. And he knew my admiration, but the more admiration I have for you, the more I'm gonna try to kill you anyway. And I think that's the same with him. But no, we haven't talked about it. But it'd be fun to talk about it.
It would be. It'd be a fun podcast where it's just you two talking about that time, because you had Duke, the establishment, you guys, freshmen, and going toe to toe with them. You probably had people who liked you because they hated Duke so much.
They did, and also I had people that were mad at me because I didn't hate Duke. I mean, I hated them because I wanted to beat them, but all of the other talk and this, that, I didn't get into because I hated them enough just from basketball. And I went to visit there, and I wanted to be part of, of that team. But, Coach K is such a special guy. And, when I think about, and again, I keep saying in the book, by God's grace, when I think about Coach K coming to my house and recruiting me, he was in enemy territory. Actually, my friends were screaming, 103-73, 103-73. That was the score that they lost against UNLV. And people are outside chanting this while he's walking in my house. And all he does is turn around on the porch and adjust his ring. And everybody's like, ooh. And so when I saw Coach K's toughness, in the hood and how he was, and, respect for the parents and all that, he's always been one of my favorite coaches in the game as well.
Okay, wait a minute. Your boys are outside. Coach K's walking into your house, and they're mocking him of getting blown out by 30 by UNLV.
Yeah, Dan, I actually got to send this to you because I interviewed my guys on the porch that he walked in, and they were saying it because my father was like, don't tell anybody, Coach K's coming. And so the whole neighborhood knew. And so he gets out the car, and they are just booing. But when he walked back out, people were like, "Yeah, Coach, good job." So he earned our respect. But yeah, Coach K was tough. It's not just an act. He's a good guy and tough at heart, and so he's always had my respect. He and Izzo remind me a lot of each other too, and I consider Coach Izzo a very close friend.
Chris Webber, the Hall of Famer, member of the Fab Five, more concerned about transfer portal or NIL in the future for the sport.
Can you separate them? Can there be one without the other? I'm very happy that any time you're in the beginning of any new system, it's going to be terrible, and you're going to have to figure it out. So I can't wait until the playing field levels and we figure it out. But I think coaches are getting a taste of their medicine. You want to leave your guys and coach and leave. Well, some guys are going to leave you mentally late in the season when you decide that. But also, I hope that players start to understand that the same love and passion should be there. But even more than ever, you made a commitment now. And I've talked to a lot of young players, and I talked to a lot of young players, and we are working through understanding that you're getting paid for this commitment now, so you have no excuse, but you still need to come with the same energy and innocence of passion that you would have played with. And how do you figure that out? And I think some guys are figuring it out. I also think some players are looking mid-season saying, well, I'm averaging 8. I can go average 10 here next year in a crazy, unsubstantiated situation. And then they go into the transfer portal and no one picks them up. So, it's a difficult time right now. And I think everyone from coaches, players, are all kind of getting used to seeing, like, how is this gonna level out? But there needs to be more discussion and hopefully more leveling of the playing field so everyone can get comfortable.
Yeah, I'm wondering about that if you get money when you're in college, does that help you when you go to the pros and get money? Because a lot of times you go into the pros and you go crazy because you haven't had this kind of money and you buy stupid things. Did you do that?
Yeah, everybody, everybody's done that. And I thought it was sports until I talked to a lot of my friends in VC and others, and I found out it's all people that do that. But I definitely, was one of those guys. But you're going to do that. I think, too, with guys, let's take a guy like the big fella from Kansas, Dixon. He was at Michigan. And how can I say this? He's a really good guy, and he plays with passion. He's so hard. He wanted to stay at Michigan, and he's going, I'm not playing pro. Now, I think he's a pro, so I'm not having that conversation. He's a pro. But that was the conversation then, and the conversation asked to me, who was someone that never been in that position, what would you do? Because my thing was, you can stay here for legacy. You being in Michigan 4 years and having records and numbers, do you know what that's like when you get older, to be able to come back to Michigan and say that you were part of it? This is a wonderful university. And I think that I think that factor has been taken out of the decision making because guys are saying, you know what, I might not make the pros. I might not have the luxury of getting a paycheck and buying something stupid. I need to make as much as I can now and prepare for a professional career overseas or in coaching. So I think guys are battling with a lot of different decisions that really they're struggling with that they don't want to have. I was talking with Deion Sanders for a show I'm doing, and he was telling me that the parents were more of a problem with the portal and with NIL than the students, because the students haven't lived life enough to kind of be that greedy yet, or to just not put team first. And so I think it's a lot of different situations. You know, guys are getting taxed off the NIL and didn't know they were getting taxed, and parents were used. So it's just so much going on that hopefully again the dust just settles.
What's the craziest thing that you spent money on early?
I mean, I was smart in the beginning because I wanted to get my parents everything. So, and I had a big family. But for me, I mean, you know, the day, you know, I got drafted, it was, I have a chapter in my book called Gators for Everybody. So Gators, are a shoe. Now I look at this so damn stupid. But Gators are a shoe. And back then it was big block Gators. And, you know, from guys in the hood, the preachers, anybody had Gators. And so what did I do? I went and bought Gators for everyone in my neighborhood. I mean, even if they didn't have a suit, hey, why don't you have some Gators and take this? Or, oh man, I took friends to restaurants, you know, that we had never been to. So a guy that lived across the street from me, Buki, rest in peace. Just stupid stuff. You go to restaurants, you pour a concoction of hot sauce, and you say to the guy, hey, I'll give you $5,000 if you eat it, and you're happy because you were going to give him something anyway, but, you know, your friends, you have to bust them up. And so, you know, I've done a lot more worse things, I'm sure, in other areas of life, but I remember when I first got it was that, one of the most fun things I did, the probably was stupid. I went to a music place. I had a truck, a white Suburban, when it first came out, and I asked him to give me the loudest sounds in the world. And the guy laughed. And I immediately walked out, went down the street, and asked the guy for the loudest sounds in the world. And he was like, I could do that. And so I took out every seat besides the front two seats. I had 16, 12, 14, 8, something crazy. And I used to just love driving down the street, making alarms go off or breaking my window in the back. And so I think that's pretty stupid to, put, $50,000, $40,000 worth of sounds in your truck that only one person can fit in, and you can't even put your luggage in. But it was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, but here's your dad who worked factory for all of those years. Did he ever say, what are you doing?
Yeah, but the story time, I can keep going. I know it's a show, I don't want to keep going. But
I know you bought him a Cadillac, right?
But that was the best thing. I told him Magic was coming to the house, and I went to and he loves Magic. I went to the car dealership in Cadillac, and people started cheering when I went in because they knew my father had worked for GM for, many, many years. And I bought him a Cadillac. I had to cut the grass meticulously now. And you never got to play football on the grass or anything. I drive the car on the grass, spin it. My father comes out. It's about 7 in the morning. That was one of the most special moments of my life, getting yelled at while throwing the keys to my father while he's driving off, telling me to make sure I take care of the grass. Was a pretty cool moment.
Always great. Thank you for storytelling time, Chris. We appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate you.